Welcome to another installment of This Is Not Normal on the Political Drain podcast with Drill Sergeant Doug, aka Admin Doug, a U.S. Army veteran, teacher, musician, and family man from Jamaica, now fights for justice and democracy through commentary and humor. Follow him on YouTube at Political Drain and at Sons of Liberty Official as Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug, continues to protect our freedoms.
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country. Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And the Lincoln Project is back, yo. They are back. And as usual, it is must-watch TV. I got a few of them for you, and even one that literally just came out this morning that's going to blow you away. Now, are these commercials changing minds? I don't know. But what the Lincoln Project does better than anybody, any other videos out there, is providing context needed for the times that we're living in. And context is exactly what we're going to need when we're reporting on Trump's latest scandalous executive order that, quite frankly, I should have reported on 2 weeks ago, titled, Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. Yeah, that's the actual title. And yes, it's every bit as nefarious as the title sounds, and then some. This executive order changes the bylaws governing the VA, Veterans Assistance, in such a way that it now allows for discrimination based on anything that is not protected by existing federal law, like marriage status, sexual orientation, and an unfortunate turn of events. Whether you use medicinal Mary Jane, even whether or not you're a Democrat or Republican, can be discriminated against, legally. Interesting to note, none of the mainstream media is reporting on it. Well, at least they weren't. They're still too busy carrying water for Donald Trump. MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, where are you? Where are you? Fox News, you claim to love the military and love the veterans so much. Where are you? In order to answer that question, here's a little context. Lincoln Project, I need you.
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of any other presidency in this country. Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you.
Congratulations on this truly historic first 100 days of your administration.
This is the 100th day of the most consequential, historic first 100 days in the history of this country.
In your first term, you were courageous. This time, you're not just courageous, you're actually fearless. You've probably assembled the greatest cabinet ever.
No, they say I wear a lot of hats. It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
Since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives. 258 million lives.
They all hated me in my first term, and now they're kissing my ass. You know, do you know? It's true.
So what do you think a Trump government would look like, Senator?
It would be chaos. And Donald Trump is a con artist.
They kiss my ass.
Thank you.
It's true. They kiss my ass.
By the way, thank you for the opportunity. Leadership.
Thank you for that.
And it usually starts with the president.
Over the next 100 days, we're going to do much more.
Yeah, that's what's going on. This executive order is yet another effort by the Trump administration to expand and further their anti-DEI agenda and their anti-LGBTQ agenda, especially against transgender people in the military and transgender veterans. Even the ones like I interviewed just the other day that's coming out soon, Arizona 6th District, who was in for 20 years, is now getting kicked out without any of the pension. 20 years service. Marital status is not protected. Veterans that are unmarried can now be refused treatment. Legally, YouTube, veterans that use alcohol, marijuana, can now be refused treatment. Legally. VA doctors can also refuse treatment based on the reason for seeking treatment. Make it make sense. Based on your reason for seeking treatment, they can refuse the treatment. Like patients seeking for sexual assault or rape. Political affiliation, like I mentioned before, is not protected under federal law, people. So VA doctors can now refuse to treat Democrat or Republican. Remember that, veterans. Yeah, it can work both ways. The VA Secretary, Doug Collins, he says that no veteran patients will be discriminated against, and all veterans will be treated. Well, man, I feel so much better now, Doug. I really... that statement could use a little context.
Well, Doug Collins, I hope you don't mind that us veterans would rather not take you at your word on who will or won't be discriminated against after you've taken away the rights that protect them. And it's not just patients, YouTube, that can be discriminated against, but the VA can now discriminate in their hiring. Go figure. Who would have thunk it? If a hiring manager doesn't like unmarried women or LGBTQ members or Democrats or Republicans, they can be discriminated against. Willy-nilly, can't even sue. It's legal. This is especially concerning when you think about the new budget bill, the bloated, disgusting, big, ugly bill. That one that's happening right now in the Senate that they're trying to pass. Because that budget bill calls for eliminating 80,000 veteran workers. That could use some context,
You voted to cut the price of eggs, not for a $50,000 bill your family can't pay. You voted to cut the price of gas, not to have mom or dad thrown out of nursing home care. You voted for a stronger economy, not to close over 300 hospitals in farm states. But Congress voted to put the burden on you, to put your family and your finances at risk, to put seniors out in the streets. It's no exaggeration. The MAGA murder budget is going to kill people. Millions will lose care they can't afford any other way. People with diabetes, kidney disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, $800 billion in Medicaid cuts to pay for a tax cut for Elon Musk. It's not about Republicans or Democrats now. It's about right and wrong. Tell your senator, this is wrong.
Tell me, Doug Collins, will those people lose their jobs based on marital status, sexual orientation, or political affiliation? Will the people losing these jobs be handpicked? Who's going to decide who loses the jobs? Doug Collins? Is it you? Is it Pete Hegseth? I'd rather not. He's a drunk. He can be discriminated against too. Alcohol or marijuana, right? The most egregious part of all of this, including the possibility of the VA eliminating 80,000 jobs, is that we could be in a war. We could be in a war with Iran at any moment. It is extremely worrisome thinking that some of our heroes may come home and not have the health care they need readily available to them, that they deserve. But this is what we get when we have an incompetent administration creating policy based on hate. This is what you get when Congress approves a drunken sailor. This is what you get when Congress approves a hate-filled drunkard to run the Defense Department. That could use some context, I know.
The only solution that I see is to establish a firm front. And the more resolute the front, the more effective it will be.
I want to emphasize that the damage report which I gave to you is based on preliminary reports received shortly after the completion of operations. I'll take your questions and endeavor to answer them, yes.
I want to assure all of you that we understand our solemn obligation to the American people to keep them informed of developments.
These events occurred on my watch. As Secretary of Defense, I am accountable for them, and I take full responsibility.
The United States will not look the other way when fundamental principles of the international order are being challenged.
Today's congressional action will ensure our military can defend our way of life, preserve the promise of prosperity, and pass on the freedoms you and I enjoy to the next generation.
Thanks again for being here. And with that, I'll be happy to take some questions.
See, this is the kind of thing the press does, right? Whether it's the Washington Post or Fox News or CNN or MSNBC, you start a news cycle that starts to call into question the ethics. No, that's why. Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the most intentionally what the president says. I'm familiar.
You think we need to see that?
Do you have a top secret clearance, sir?
Eventually.
Talk a little bit more about the role, sir.
Yeah, YouTube, that guy is the Secretary of Defense. We desperately need Congress to act and pass legislation regarding this absolutely crucial issue, this whole VA rights thing, you know? And this is too important to rely on the courts to hold the line. They're already not doing it. But with this Republican majority and this impotent Democrat party that we have supposedly going up against them, don't hold your breath, YouTube. I mean, do we really expect people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert to push legislation that helps people? Hell, Nancy Mace climaxed just reading the title. She's rolling over now to have a cigarette. Guaranteed. No. The only way to change this is to vote. I know. You don't want to hear that. We have to take Congress in the midterms, the House and the Senate. It's the only way to ensure that we can continue to provide all of our veterans with the health care they need. That's it. The health care that they were all promised, that I was promised when I signed on the dotted line. So no, there is no sitting on the couch this next election. You need context for that?
Most of us want a government that does its job and leaves us alone. The Trump administration is failing. Trump turned Elon Musk loose with a chainsaw. And what happened? Chaos. Musk slashed jobs at the Federal Aviation Administration. Now, air travel is worse than ever.
Newark International Airport experienced its third major equipment outage in less than 2 weeks over the weekend, causing problems not only in the New York area, but airports across the country.
Trump put a longtime heroin addict kook in charge of our nation's health. It's a clown show.
The country's deadly measles outbreak is getting worse.
New cases of the bird flu are raising alarms among health officials.
Trump put a Fox News talking head with a drinking problem in charge of America's defense, texting attack plans on his personal phone.
The Pentagon loses another $70 million fighter jet.
What's Donald Trump doing when he should be protecting our families? He's selling the Trump meme coin.
Trump's meme coin surged 50% yesterday. Why? Well, the president offered to host its top holders for a private dinner in Washington.
All we wanted was a government that worked. What did we get? Corruption and incompetence. Donald Trump. It's just not working.
We need everybody. We need everybody. And we need everybody to vote blue, up and down the ballot. Every person in this country either has a family member that's a vet or at least knows a vet. That should be enough of a reason to take the time to vote. It's hard to believe. I know. Is it hyperbole? It's not. Even when I came across this story, I was skeptical, especially because it was reported on The Guardian. And let's be honest, some of the facts we've seen reported by The Guardian, shall we say, not exactly accurate. The White House went out of their way to deny the story published by The Guardian, and that got my curiosity up. If nothing more than for the comedy value. It's now like two lying liars lying about each other, which, when the current White House is involved, is gold. And since The Guardian reported this story and the Trump White House subsequently denied the story, it's been picked up by other news agencies. Even VA.gov has issued a statement. But before I do any of that, the first thing I do and how I find these other publications is I go to Ground News. Ground News has very quickly become one of my most prized resources, my go-to even, because I get to find out what stories are not covered by the blind spot feature, which I love. But not just the blind spot feature. Any of the stories that I bring up, I can see what either side is saying about it. I can also see who's paying for those headlines. It tells me who owns the publication, which also lets me know who they're writing it for. Many times, none of that is for us. But understanding the context helps us understand the story. Ground News is absolutely one of, if not the best way to know that you've gotten every side of a story and that there's not enough spin in the world that could have you misinterpret it. We all need to vote. I know. You don't want to hear it again. Hear it again. We all need to vote if we get to have an election in the first place. But I have a piece of the solution for that as well, YouTube. You see, one of the ways votes are suppressed is bad actors spreading disinformation, intimidation, on and offline, manipulating consent to things that actually hurt the voters. Well, I need you. I need you because Drill Sergeant Spec Ops team is working day and night to stop those people, to change those odds, to keep people safe, stop intimidation, to give people help when, just as a hypothetical, say the lawyers or the doctors, where they are, refuse to help them. We're doing our part to ensure that we will have those elections and that the people are actually alive to be able to go vote in the midterms. And if you think you might want to help as well, email us, politicaldrain@gmail.com. You'll get vetted thoroughly, but then you'll never have to use Gmail again. We're not stupid. Listen, whatever you do, guys, never give up. Make the calls, send the faxes, go to twitch.tv/politicaldraindigital and subscribe over there. That's our Twitch channel. Subscribe now because who knows how long we have on YouTube. Just being honest, find a way to resist wherever you are because tomorrow we fight. Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.
That was the Political Drain podcast, which can be heard on www.groovechillradio.com/political-drain and can be viewed on the Political Drain YouTube channel anytime. Once again, thank you for listening to Groove Chill as we resist fascism in any form, pursue democracy, peace, and love.